friends, welcome to the discussion of sampling techniques, and today we are in third episode of sampling techniques. In the first two episodes, we have discussed about sampling in general, and then we had understood the need of sampling, and then discussed about the different probabilistic sampling techniques. And today we will go into the details of non-probabilistic sampling techniques. So here we go, friends. Uh, so non-probabilistic sampling are those sampling in which it is the investigator who has a role in the selection of units into the sample. So it is not entirely left for a random process to take it up. Rather, it is the decision of the researcher or the investigator whom should be interviewed, whom should be taken in the sample, and who should be considered outside the sample. First in its type is a purposive sampling technique. A purposive sampling technique is a selection of a sample from a given population backed by some purpose. A simple example can be that, for example, suppose in a college, the principal wants to send a team of uh, students for a quiz competition. So he runs a quiz competition inside the college and picks up few very good teams and send it to the inter-college quiz competition. Now this process where we select a part of the population, that is, you may call it a sample, but this sample is selected purposefully so that the college can win or do better in the inter-college quiz competition. So that is a way in which they are selecting their best students and sending them up. So this process is can be considered as an example of purposive sampling. It may be used to get a representative sample, but generally it is having some particular purpose, and so if you want, you can extend it to make a representative sample, taking students from all different calibers and making a sample. But obviously, the biasness of the investigator has to play a role there, and the magnitude of the biasness which will take place in that particular sample is unknown and cannot be computed. So obviously for these regions, statistical tests cannot be performed, as we know that most of the statistical tests uh, assumes that the sample is randomly selected, which has not taken place in this type of sampling technique. And so statistical techniques, more specifically statistical tests which are based on sampling techniques, cannot be applied there. But other statistical techniques like graphs, diagrams, calculating the descriptive statistics, etc., can be done in this particular sampling technique. So this is about purposive sampling. Then we go forward and to the next sampling technique, coming under non-probabilistic sampling technique, and that is a convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is also called as accidental sampling, opportunity sampling, or a grab sampling. Now here what happens, suppose one fine day you decide to study the satisfaction level of customers in a particular bank. So you visit a particular branch of that bank and find out the customers, and then try to take some information from them. Some of them might be too busy to answer you, but some of them gleefully may accept your invitation to participate in the survey. So you complete the survey based on those people who were in the bank on that day and who were actually ready to provide you the data. That means as per your convenience, you have collected the information from the people who are close to hand. So this is the convenience sampling. Obviously, this sampling will not be representative, and so we cannot generalize the conclusions based on this sample. But for pilot testing, or if you are doing an exploratory type of research, then this type of sampling techniques is quite useful in a number of situations. Let us go to the next one. It is called as quota sampling. The quota sampling is almost similar to that of stratified random sampling. That means first, based on the available members of the population, we divide them into some groups, which here we call it quota, and in stratified sample we call that strata, but here we call it quota. Now in each quota, people are having some similarity, and between two quotas there is difference. And then from each of the quota we select some sampling units to our population, so that to our sample, so that our sample has representatives from all different quota. But this selection is not done randomly, Rather, this selection is done purposefully. And so here randomization is not there, and hence the sampling does not come up to be a probability sampling, and the results, like all other non-probability sampling techniques, cannot be generalized but is more specific to this particular sample. Let me simplify like this. Suppose I have a group of people who are to be surveyed on some of their socio-economic characteristics, maybe say their expenditure pattern. So I divide my population that I have into some groups, like some people are poor, some people are lower middle class, some people are of the middle class, some people are well-to-do, that is upper middle class, and some people are rich. So I have some quota into which I have divided my population into. And no member of the population is simultaneously available in two different quota. A member of the population, that is a sampling unit, belongs to one quota and only one quota. Now, from each quota, I select some people as per my convenience. Like I may have a poor person whom I know, so I will go with him and I collect the information from those people whom he actually refers to. Then I know someone from the middle class, lower middle class. So I go to those persons whom I know of the lower middle class group. I collect the information from them, and also they help me to collect information from some of my friends. So then I come to the middle class, and there I know so many people. So I collect information from those people whom I know from the middle class group. Then upper middle class also, some people I know, and I know some of their friends. With their help, I collect the information from a group of people who belong to the upper middle class. And the rich, very few people I know, but then some of my friends of the upper middle class group helps me to reach to some rich people, and then with the help of them I collect information from some more rich people. So I have a opportunity of collecting information from all the quota, and so my sample now contains information from people belonging to all different quota. So my population is represented in the sample, but since we are not using a random technique in drawing them to the sample, so I cannot generalize the results and I cannot apply any statistical test. So that is the issue here we have. Next we go forward and look at this snowball sampling technique method. This is another sampling technique method which is actually non-random. Here this method is generally used when we have very few people known to me having a particular characteristic. That means I want to study a particular characteristic in the population, but I currently I don't have many people who actually have that characteristic known to me. A simple example may be, suppose I want to know that some people, you must have seen, they smoke pipe. They don't smoke cigarettes, but they smoke pipe. They smoke tobacco, but through a pipe. So I want to find out some or perform some survey on those people. That is, I want to know from where they smoke and from where they get the tobacco, from where they purchase, and so on and so forth. This information I want to collect. And this is a particular type of sampling technique where we use snowball sampling technique. Here what thing we do is that at the very initial stage, I try to collect information from some person who actually has this habit of smoking pipe. Now that person may be difficult to trace, but if I know some shops where such smokers often visit to purchase tobacco, so I may go to those shops and I may ask the shopkeepers that, do you know someone who come to you for purchasing tobacco for smoking pipe? He may know the address of some people, or the other way, he may tell that no, I don't know, but some people come to me in search of that tobacco. You please keep visiting, or next time when you visit, I will collect the address of some such people. So from there we can collect the information about people who are actually smoking the tobacco through a pipe. Now when I collect the information from these people, then through a chain referral system, that means I go to that people and ask that, okay, after completing my survey, I ask them, do you know some other people who also smoke pipe in your town? Now people will be knowing that, because those people who have some peculiar habit or nature actually knows about people having similar type of habits or similar type of nature, or maybe sometimes rare diseases. A person suffering from a rare disease knows about some other people who also suffers from those rare diseases. And so what happened, I keep in touch with one people, and then from these people a few more people, and then a few more people, and then a few more people. In this way, through a chain referral system, we calm down the hierarchy, and at some stage we get a significant number of people who are actually taking to or smoking tobacco from through pipe. And once I am satisfied with this, then I close my survey. So this is called a snowball sampling technique method. I have another example here, that how people feel when they are bitten by a snake. Now, snake bite may be quite common in the villages, but in town and city, snake bite is not that common thing happening. But by the side of the town and by the side of the cities, there are some villages also from where patients must be brought with a snake bite, etc. So initially, you might not know anyone around your locality, around in your neighbors, in your relatives who are bitten by the snake. So your starting point can be the casualty department of government hospital, because such cases are not generally entertained in nursing homes or private hospitals. They generally try to send it to the government hospitals, because this antidote of the venom is actually rarely available in this whole nursing home. So, and they also are not so much aware about the type of pattern of treatment. So in medical hospitals, this type of venom are antidote of venom are available. So venom are available, so you could take such patients to the medical hospital. So what you do, or means government hospital. So what you do, you go to the casualty department of government hospitals and ask those people whether there was any case of snake bite. Now, suppose the hospital tells that, yeah, last week a person called A came to us with a snake bite. So you go to that person A, because address and phone number and all details are there. And you ask A about some other people who were also bitten by the snakes who are known to him. A seems to be quite informative and tells you about D, B, and C, who are also bitten by snakes at some point of their life. Then you go to D. D tells about E, F, and G. So D is also quite informative. B tells about G once again, whose information already you have. And B also tells about C. But C already you have collected the information. So B's information is not of use to you. C tells you about age, and H tells you about X. And age also tells you about W. But when you visit W, you found that W has left that place. He is not staying at this address. So at this stage, you see, you have collected information from so many people. You have A, you have D, B, C, E, F, G, H, and X. So many people information are there. We started from one single individual, and then we ended up collecting information from so many individuals. So these are different types of non-random sampling techniques that we are offering to you. There are several other non-random sampling techniques as well, but these are the most common of them. Another important aspect while dealing with sampling technique is to decide about the sample size, and which we will cover at a later stage of in some other video. Thanks for watching.